Hey y'all, this is your host Laura. Before we begin, I wanted to let you know that on the day of recording, we had some minor technical issues, and there are a couple of spots throughout, two particularly right in the beginning, where for whatever reason my recording system dropped the Wi-Fi for a hot second, and so there will be a blank space there. I apologize for this. At the time, I thought, oh, it's okay, it's still recording, but it did not keep that data. So here is my conversation with the president of the Westport Historical Society, and she is just so knowledgeable and cool, and hope you all enjoy this. Thanks for listening. Good morning. Welcome to Homegrown KC, a podcast dedicated to exploring Kansas City's fascinating history and sharing stories from its rich past. I'm your host, Laura. Joining me today is Alana Smith, the president of the Westport Historical Society. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Doing very well, thank you.
Good, thank you for being here. We really appreciate another opportunity to tell people about the history of Westport and Kansas City.
Well, folks, we're both chomping on some candy, so excuse us. But we've been talking for about an hour now, and so now we're just going to continue this conversation. You have so much information to share. Before we really dive in, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Oh, my. Well, I'm older than dirt.
I find that impossible to believe.
Yeah, well, it's true. I have been with the Historical Society since 2003. And I've been president since, I think, 2008. And I do it because I love the history. And I knew some direct descendants of John Calvin McCoy, who, as people probably know, was the founder of Westport in Kansas City. So knowing them and the history, it's just very interesting and exciting. And every time I go through the files, years.
Okay, no, we're good. It's still recorded. Keep going.
Oh, okay. And my background actually is in education. My undergraduate degree is in theater education, and my master's actually was in musical comedy. Figure that one. And I taught. My background is education. My mom was a teacher, and for 25 years or so, and I taught at K-State for 5 years, and then I taught at Johnson County Community College for 3 years, I think. So education is very important to me, and we try to do a lot of educational programs here at the Westport Historical Society, which is housed in the 1855 Harris Carney House at 4000 Baltimore, where we are today.
Okay. So, theater. How did you go from theater to this?
Well, when I moved to first I moved from Manhattan, Kansas to Manhattan, New York. And then I moved from Manhattan, New York to Kansas City. And I met my husband, who is a big history nut. He is probably the foremost authority on the Battle of Westport. And I asked him a question about something at history in Kansas City, and he's probably already researched it, so he already knows the answer. But meeting him, then I met reenactors. And because of my love of theater and the reenactors who were in the historical garb, I just, fell in love with it.
Into that. So did you do reenacting?
I did. Started out at the Warnell House.
Okay.
And I was there, and in fact, with my daughters, I have 3 daughters. The oldest was maybe four or five, and the middle one was 3 or 4. And my little one started at 18 months. No, actually, her first reenactment, she was about 6 months old.
Wow.
So I made them all little outfits, and we went and we were a family. Mm-hmm. Of course, whose husband was off fighting the war. So we had a good time down there. And then when I left the Warnell House, I came here. And we, until the pandemic, we had a group of reenactors who were attached to the house, and we do reenactments here. And we also did the reenactment 150th commemorative event for the Battle of Westport.
What year was that? 105. Let's do some math.
1905,
2005, 2015.
Well, 65 was the Battle of Westport, so however many years that. I'm not a math major, Laura. Don't ask me about math.
Okay.
I think it was 150th anniversary, and we did that out on the battlefield in Swett Park, or that part of the battlefield in Swett Park that's still open enough we could do a reenactment. But that's how my theater led me to
history,
reenacting and history, and
okay.
And we do a lot of reenactment activities here. Not so much since the pandemic, but I put my corset on and my hoop skirts and my crinoline, and we have others who portray different members. We have a gentleman who is a terrific Jim Bridger. I mean, you'd think you were talking to Jim Bridger and looking at Jim Bridger. He's incredible. And so then we have other reenactors who portray different people from Westport. And sometimes we do candlelight tours where we have the reenactors. They're in the dining room eating and conversing and talking about Lincoln or whatever the topic might be. So we have a good time with that. So that's how my theater
transitioned.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Westport Historical Society. What do y'all do here?
Well, Westport Historical, Westport History, Westport, Kansas City History is how we interpret what we're supposed to be doing. And our mission is to preserve, protect, and promote the history of Westport, the town of Kansas, and early Kansas City. So that's our mission, is to educate people. Again, that word, education, because we have so many people who walk through the front door who don't, one, realize that they're on a Civil War battlefield. They don't know that the house was on the 3 trails, the Santa Fe, California, and Oregon Trail. A lot of them don't even know that those trails pass through Westport. So we see a big need to inform people, to let them know the history that really is in their own backyard. So that's what we do. We give tours in the house, and within those tours, we're giving history. We have fundraisers because we get state, local, federal money. We rely on membership and donations and fundraisers and grants to keep this place alive. I mean, this house was built in 1855. So that's a little bit old, and so that means we have a lot of maintenance to do. Although probably not as much as one would think, because the house is solid brick. And these bricks...
So you don't have trouble with the mortar degrading?
We haven't. When they did the restoration of the house in 1983, they did have to replace some.
Okay.
But for the most part, this is an incredibly solidly built house.
That's good.
It's just amazing. When we were upstairs, you probably noticed the exposed brick walls.
I did.
That's the original brick to the house. Outside walls are 16 inches solid brick. Inside walls are 13 inches solid brick.
Wow.
So this house isn't going anywhere. That's kind of a joke. We say if ever a tornado passed over it, we go, hi, and just go right on by, because it knows it's not going to be it's not destructible, or at least we hope it's not. But yeah, we have lots of different programs. Again, to educate, let people know. We have a program called Civil War Wednesdays, and every Wednesday of the month, it's dedicated solely to Civil War. and teaching people not only about the Battle of Westport, but just the entire Civil War in general and different aspects of it. Every month, on one of those Wednesdays, we have a speaker. And for example, next month, September 14th, our speaker will be talking about women in Civil War medicine. People don't realize how many women were nurses, and some who had been trained to be a doctor in whatever manner that meant at the time, who actually were involved in taking care of the sick and wounded. So she's going to talk about that, and not only the women in medicine, but the type of medicine and how it was practiced. So we do know that people enjoy the Civil War Wednesdays. I already have a reservation for 30 people for the 14th of September.
Congrats.
So that's a fun program that we offer. We also have a homeschooling program. And our education director is just marvelous. Her name is Alicia Cole. And she has so many ideas on how we can teach people about where they live. And then we take aspects of that. Like we're going to do, like she does the program on women in Civil War medicine. But we also have different little programs within our homeschool group, and we're going to try to carry those over to maybe the public school as well. So have lots of exhibits. Right now we have an exhibit by Greg Summers, who is an incredible artist, and we also have a doll exhibit. And again, this goes with education. We have dolls and books. And that the idea behind that is that children learn by reading and talking to their dolls, or reading to their dolls, or teddy bears, or whatever friend they might have. And that's been very successful. The children really come here and really seem to love that. And I know that in some cases the moms have had to go out and find the dolls that match the book, because the children are just so enthralled with the books, they've got to have that doll. So it's been a good thing.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about the dolls and this mystery doll.
Oh, our mystery doll. Yes. Well, the author of the Myrtle Hardcastle books, they're a series for young ladies, and Myrtle Hardcastle is kind of an 1890s Nancy Drew, except Myrtle's 12 years old, very precocious, and she loves to solve mysteries. So we have developed with the author of this series a doll, a Myrtle Hardcastle doll. And the author loves it. He thinks it's great. And besides the doll, which children, young ladies, moms can come here and purchase the doll and clothing for the doll. We have a Myrtle Hardcastle Detective Society. So anyone can join the society, and we have little mysteries that we solve in the way that Myrtle might have solved the mysteries. So we're having a lot of fun with that. And again, it's education, because the mysteries that we ask them to solve are really history.
Is it like
riddles or...
Okay, is it like a scavenger hunt in the museum?
Well, kind of, yes. They have, and it can be outside of the museum too, but
Okay.
they can use our resources here to solve whatever the mystery is. So we're having a lot of fun with that. But we just got started, so we're going to see what directions we need to take with that. But anybody out there who's listening wants to join the Myrtle Hardcastle Detective Society, let us know. We'd love to have them.
And you said that you were partnering with the Toy Miniature Museum,
We
correct?
partnered with the Toy Miniature Museum, the Doll Cradle in Shawnee, which I think people know as maybe the Doll Hospital, and then the Kansas City Chiefs.
I don't know what the doll hospital is.
Well, the Doll Cradle is a store where you can go buy anything dolls.
Oh, okay.
But they also repair dolls. So if you're China doll or your hard plastic doll loses an arm, and you can't get it back on, take it over there and they will fix it. So they have become, because of that, they fix dolls, broken. It's become known as the Doll Hospital.
That's unique.
So I think that's just kind of a nickname that people have given it, that it's kind of stuck with them. So they're wonderful to work with, and the chiefs are incredible to work with. And most people don't know that they do have an education program, but it's physical education, which we think is just as important as, the mind, because if you're not physically fit, maybe your mind isn't as healthy as it should be. So
there is a correlation between the two.
We have found that, and the chiefs have found it. So they have a training camp for kids, and they've also written a book. So we're very pleased to have them as a partner. And I think even the adults are getting a big kick out of the fact that we partnered with the chiefs.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we do have Chiefs flags to give out if you come and visit the museum.
Nice. We're big fan of the Chiefs here at Humber Casey.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. The Chiefs are the best. Let's see, what else do we do here? Oh, we open the house to the community as far as if you have a bridal shower or a birthday party, a retirement party, you can book the museum.
I saw that on your website.
Yes. If you have I've had people from Nebraska and South Dakota come down here for business meetings. And so they will rent out the upper gallery, which is a big open room, and they'll have business meetings.
Okay, so is that where you have the bridal parties and all that? Because
yes.
You'd be worried about holding a birthday party like in the kitchen or the parlor.
Oh, excuse me. No, they can rent out the upstairs gallery. They can do this gallery, this we call the lower gallery. And again, it depends on numbers. And we have a lot of people who rent the grounds.
Okay.
And the veranda. And of course, lucky to have in this old house. So they can, have food and or have their caterer bring in food, and then they can use the oven and refrigerator. We also have weddings in the house and on the grounds. We have weddings. They're small, in the parlor and in the dining room. In fact, in the dining room, I think we can get 38 people.
Really?
Seated, plus the bride, plus the groom.
That's impressive. It does not look that large.
Yeah. Well, it kind of spills out into the entry hall too.
Okay.
But that's our max. But of course, in the yard.
And so when you're moving the furniture out of the way, where do you put it?
Anywhere we can find.
Okay.
The table in the dining room is an old one. It dates to late 1840s. And the top is actually very thin. And it flips up.
It comes off of the legs?
No, if you can think like opening.
Oh, it's on hinges.
It's on hinges.
Okay.
And it'll open up, and so you can move it out of the way. But we usually move it in here or in the office.
Okay.
But it's been fun to have weddings here. And of course, if they don't want to have a wedding here, but they want to have wedding pictures outside the house, they can do that too. We had a lot of brides that'll just come up here and pose on the veranda or in the flower garden or the front porch. So, yeah, we invite the community to come here.
Okay. All right, so for listeners, to give you a little bit better of idea of the spaces we're talking about here. Right now we're in the lower gallery, and it's an open room. We're sitting at a table. Oh, wait, you got that nice ceiling in here too. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's a couple of display cases along the sides, but it's pretty open. And this is a part of the second addition to the house, which we'll also talk about in a minute. And then there's a modern kitchen behind us. And then right above us is the large gallery she's talking about. It's a really, really big open room. And there's only a few display cases in there for the Civil War battlefield.
And that's where the big parties. If they're not outside, then the big parties are upstairs. We had the some group, I don't remember who it was, celebrating the Queen's birthday, meaning Queen Elizabeth's birthday. And they had a tea up there, and I think they set 80 people at tables for the tea.
Be a little crowded, but I could see it.
Actually, when you move the display cases out,
you get more room.
You have more room. So, yes, we do a little bit of everything. We've had retirement parties here, and something that I forgot to tell you was we have paranormal investigations.
Oh, okay.
Many groups come here to investigate the paranormal, and I was so surprised. There's so much here.
Okay.
And in
Tell us
the
more.
realm of paranormal activity, and we have a lot of it documented, either on audio tape, or we actually have some videos of. You don't believe it until you actually see it. But we have videos of our mannequins moving.
That's creepy.
It is. And you can go into one room, and this actually happened to us. We were giving a tour. Went into one room. This particular mannequin was sitting in a particular spot. We went into another room, and we're in there. And then we came out of that room to the first room with the mannequin, and the mannequin had moved.
Like, in what manner? Like, my arm?
Oh, no. It's from one spot to another spot.
Okay.
So maybe 5 feet in this case. And we had our alarm went off one night. And they always call me when the alarms go off, the alarm company. And they told me what area it was. And I knew that we had a problem with that area, so I knew it wasn't a burglar or somebody breaking in. And I told them, I said, okay, don't call the police. I'll just go down there and I'll turn it off. Well, I live 20 minutes away. And by the time I got here, there are 3 police cars and 7 policemen. And I'm just like, oh boy. And I went up to one, and we were talking, and they said they'd already, checked the area and everything was okay and nothing had happened. And this one officer said, and I can't remember his exact terms, but it was something like, do strange things ever happen here? Or do weird things or something like that? And I said, well, yes, they do. What are you talking about? And he goes, you're not going to believe this. And I said, okay, try me. So we came in the yard and came back to the visitor's stairs, which are on the back portion of the house. And he said, I went up those stairs. And the first window, he said, I shone my light in, and I saw that you had exhibits in there and no movement. Everything seemed to be fine. He said, I went onto the second window, and he said, I shone my light in, and one of the mannequins moved right up in front of the window. And he said, I have been a member of the Kansas City Police Department for over 20 years. And he says, I've never been so startled in my life. Now, he didn't say scared. He said startled. And, I'm going, well, yeah, that happens a lot. And they were just, like, wow. And I said, you guys want to come in? They said, yeah, let's go see it. So they came in, and we did a tour of the house. And then...
At what time of the morning is this? 2 o'clock in the morning?
It was probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, yeah. And we'd had an ice cream social the night before. And so I said, hey, you guys want some ice cream? So we had ice cream at the Kansas City, 7 members of the Kansas City Police Force, who are they're wonderful. And I don't mean to make fun of them. It was just, this...
That's a unique story.
It is a unique story. And, it just... we've got paranormal activity here. People...
So do you give ghost tours?
We do.
Okay.
We do. And paranormal groups.
People eat that up.
Oh, I know. We have paranormal groups who come in here and will... they can investigate from 6 at night until 2 in the morning.
Okay. We
don't allow any overnights, simply because I don't want to stay out overnight. And really, if anything's going to happen by 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, enough has happened.
Yeah.
So there is a fee for that, but we certainly welcome paranormal groups to come. And we've had moms and daughters in a paranormal group who come here. And, they just have a ball. Yeah. But you can't be afraid because there is actual activity here. And I know that sounds crazy, but until you've actually heard it or you've actually seen it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never thought about it when I first came here. It was like, but again, it happened to me. I heard it. I've seen it. I was giving a tour one night, a candlelight tour, and in the parlor we had 5 candles, I think, setting on the back of the piano. And as I'm talking, one of the candles on the end started moving. Now, not the candle holder, but the candle itself started wobbling back and forth. And I'm standing there talking, looking at it, going, what in the world? And the other people in the room are going, see that candle, see that candle. The candle's moving. Whispering that.
Yeah.
And then after a while it stopped.
Do you have one room in particular that's more active than the others?
No, I would say rooms.
Okay.
The children's room is very active. And then the parlor is very active. Then the dining room, and then the large gallery upstairs, and even Mr. and Mrs. Harris's bedroom. And again, another funny story. That bedroom is located right above our office area, and that's on the 2nd floor. Our office is on the 1st floor. Well, before we had furniture in there, in the bedroom, we'd be in the office and we'd hear furniture moving upstairs in that room. And, sliding, moving around. And so we just yell at them. We go, will you guys quit moving the furniture? We're trying to get work done down here. And they'd stop for a while. And then maybe it'd start again, and maybe it wouldn't. Maybe the next time we came, it would do it. But once we put furniture in there and a rug on the floor,
Settled down.
we don't hear that. So one of our paranormal guy, who's actually a psychic, he said they were signaling to us that they wanted furniture up there. And now that the furniture's up there, they're happy.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's all weird. You either get it or you don't get it, or you enjoy it or you don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, but we have never had anything bad or tragic. The worst thing that we caught on tape is up in the master bedroom, and it's a man's voice, and he's saying, "Get out, get out." And at first I was kind of upset about that. But then when we were talking about it, we said, well, that's the bedroom. He probably wanted people out of there so he could go to bed. Who knows? But that's the worst thing that we've had.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's ghost friendly. So come on down, you paranormal enthusiasts.
Lovers,
yeah. It's been quite fun doing that. And we have learned a lot through what we've picked up on audio, things that we didn't know about the house.
Such as?
People who visited, and names. Of course, sometimes it's kind of difficult to figure out names because everybody was named John or Julia or Elizabeth or Mary, and you don't always know which Mary or which John or that they're talking about. But every once in a while, they'll throw in a name we haven't heard. And so we do some research, and we find names associated with people that could have been here. So that's kind of fun.
Interesting.
To research what they're telling us.
Yeah.
We do like to have candlelight tours, whether it's paranormal or not. We welcome groups. We love to have groups come in.
Do you get, excuse me, do you get like many school groups?
We did before the pandemic. They would come, especially in the spring, because it's a good time for field trips. But boy, once the pandemic hit, of course, everything
changed.
Shut down. And then before the pandemic, we were not getting as many school trips because of budget cuts. The schools didn't have the money for buses.
Yeah.
And PTAs were
now that we're back in school, the problem is we don't have enough bus drivers.
That's true. So I don't know really what's going to happen. We do have, within our education program, we do have a 1 and 2 day event. The first day, one of us, goes out to the school.
Okay.
And actually gives a program. We coordinate with the teacher what they want, and we'll give a program. And then the second day, if they so choose, they come to the house, to the museum, and then we do projects here. And one of the things that the kids love is we spend a couple of hours on doing chores that children their age would have done had they lived in this house in 1850s, 60s.
Because it's not your usual vacuum and sweeping and whatnot.
No, well, it is sweeping, but it's with a different kind of broom.
Yeah.
And we take a carpet or a rug out and put it over the fence, and they beat it. Yeah, they beat it. They carry water. Although it's not water, we have buckets filled with rice bags to give the weight of the water. Yeah. And they're just like, oh my gosh. And, it's like, well, the creek's a quarter of a mile that way. Get to go. And we cook over a pretend fire, and how you would lift the lid because it's hot. And then we also play games that would have been popular with the children. And they have so much fun. And depending on what the teacher wants, we even do corn husk dolls. And we make butter. And so fun things for the kids to do. We love it, and we hope that eventually we're going to get back into the hosting the schools again. But again, it's budget and, like you say, personnel.
Yeah.
Do they have the personnel to bring the kids? So
I don't know if it's in Kansas City, but I was reading recently that a lot of schools in Missouri are going down to a 4-day because of personnel issues.
Yes, they're extending the hours on the days
to balance it.
Yeah,
I hadn't read that part, but I was like, that's probably what they're doing.
Yeah, and it doesn't really extend it that much because now I don't know about the Missouri side, but on the Kansas side, this just gets me. If they serve lunch, then it's counted as a full day of school. Even if they serve lunch at 10:30 in the morning and they dismiss the school at 12:30.
Really?
Yeah.
It's odd.
I know. But if they serve lunch, I learned that now maybe that's changed, but because my youngest is approaching 30, and so I haven't been in the school system
for a while. Yeah.
But that's the way it used to be. They would serve, and it was counted as a whole day of school.
Okay.
So, who knows? But yes, I know a lot of schools are going to the 4-day.
Yeah.
Which I guess the kids like, especially if they're in high school and they have jobs.
Yeah, I think especially high schoolers would enjoy that. And, even if you're elementary school and you're getting extended, another hour, maybe 2 a day, parents don't get off until 5.
That's right.
So
maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, maybe it is. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, but anyway, teachers, if you're listening, we certainly do want you to bring your classes over to the museum, and we have school. We even do a school day or part of a school day, as if you're in a 1-room grade school.
Okay.
With the chalk and your
arithmetic and writing and all that.
Yes, and we even do quill writing.
Oh, okay. I bet kids like that.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They love it. Yeah. So we have a good time.
Teachers,
come on down.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your homeschooling program?
Well, the homeschooling program, we started just about a year before the pandemic hit. So we felt like we were just getting, on a roll. We have a different programs set up. One of them is Westport Expansion that they learn about. And, drawing a blank now on the other programs. But the pandemic really
Put a kibosh on it.
Hit us hard. And
well, how was it set up? Was it like I made these materials that I gave to the homeschoolers, or they came here?
They came here.
Okay.
Or they come here, and we do, depending on whether it's Kansas or Missouri, we do follow the educational guidelines that have been set up by the state. And we talk with parents or teachers because there is a guideline that the homeschoolers have to follow in each state. So we make sure that we have that so that we are doing and covering what the kids can get credit for. So we work with the teachers and parents. So it doesn't always look the same for every class because every class wants or asks or requests different things.
And you weren't able to translate that into the virtual school?
We did not do a virtual school. We just were staffed by volunteers. And the people who, like myself, who are not savvy, I mean, we can use a computer for some things, but when you're talking...
Well, as I learned recently, video is way different than just audio.
Yes, it certainly is. That's something that we will go to eventually.
Okay.
But again, that means we've got to write a grant or we've got to have a donation that's big enough to cover that. But right now, with the pandemic, lifted, or at least the restrictions, we really want people to come here and experience, or we want to go out to the classroom.
Yeah.
And I guess
is that a part of your new museum at school?
Well, now that's going to be different.
Okay.
That would be like us taking the class to the school. So,
can you give more detail on that?
Well, I don't want to say lecturing, but talking about, the Indian Removal Act and how it affected not only the Native Americans, but the people who were living in the area.
Okay.
What it was like to experience, just the household. What did you have to do in the household? The kids always get a kick out of the fact that I tell them if there weren't servants, the rule was the last one up in the morning had to do all the empty all the chamber pots. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we can't sleep in. So we like the hands-on, and that we can do that much more here at the museum. However, if we do go out into the classroom, we do take some objects. We have a trunk.
Okay, yeah.
That we take it. Traveling trunk, yes. And depending on who's doing it and what they want, we'll pull items out of the trunk and explain them. A lot of the items we have so that everybody gets to at least handle it, touch it, use it. So again, I know it sounds like I'm evading your question, but we really tailor everything.
Well, no, you said before that you're really in the planning stages, so there's not much you could tell us.
As far as the museum is schools, yes, we are. We have 2 schools that we're hoping to use as pilot schools to see how we can do this, whether it needs to be 2 afternoons a week, 2 full days a week. And we want to do more than just history. Per se, we want to do an English class, but maybe using history as the umbrella for the subject matter.
Okay.
Whether it's what was sold in the shop, and if you went to a bridal shop, not as in wedding, but in bridal for horses. What would you find there? What would you buy?
Yeah.
And we make lists, and then from that list, they take something that, like maybe stirrups. Well, when were they invented? How were they used? What were they made of? How were they attached? And so they can write a theme on that.
Yeah.
But then we also take something like a wind wagon. Well, how did the Conestoga wagon, how did they put a sail on it and hope it was going to be like a boat sailing on, and how did that translate then into what we have today? So we have lots of different ways that we want to incorporate what we do today with what was done in the 19th century. Even down to the clothing. How has clothing changed?
So much.
So much. And so they can pick an area and write about that. Maybe lingerie. How's lingerie changed? The girls like that because of the petticoats and So anyway, that would be our English
Okay.
element. And then math. We do math. Like how many miles was it between, the the train getting to the,
Yeah.
what
And
kind
how
of,
far could you reasonably travel in a covered wagon?
exactly in a day, and what would maintenance have been on a covered wagon, and so different things that they can associate with. For example, we tell them when they come here and we're talking about the wagons that Westport was the last quick trip. That's where you got your food for your horses, the food for yourself, you got your drinks.
That's a really good analogy.
You've got your, so, and they get it. When we say that, they get it because, when they're going on a road trip, they get all the things they need. Of course, in the case of the pioneers, what were the extra things that they might have purchased that you wouldn't have purchased? So we really try to translate, what was, what is, what was.
Yeah.
To make it a learning experience.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have a lot going on. It's awesome.
We do. And we're planning an exhibit next year that I won't give it away too much, but how women of the past influenced women of the future. So women from the maybe 17th, 18th, 19th century, how did they influence what women in the 20th century and the 21st century are doing? So we're looking forward to that one.
Education's always a big part of museums, but I think you guys really have more educational arms here going on than I have encountered in most museums.
I hope so. Because like I say, Alicia and I are both really big on education. And then some members of my board are as well. And I would like to mention my board. I've got
Okay, go ahead.
Fabulous board. They are just, they're incredible.
The board can really make or break a museum.
That is true. And fortunately, I've had a great board and continue to have a great board. In fact, one of the board members, Ken Shoemaker, has started he's our musical director.
Okay.
Our music director. And he has started free concerts on the lawn. So
Here at the house?
Here at the house. So in June and July, every Saturday, we have a free concert on the lawn. And it's always a different group. Let me show you. This year he had the Mandolin Orchestra of Kansas City. And then we had a weekend of Irish music of Ireland pubs. Then they had Auto Harp Music Day. And I love these guys. Whiskey Just Before Breakfast. They're an instrumental group, and they are wonderful. So that just gives you an idea. We try to do different types of music, and it's free. It's always free.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed it. I'll have to check that out next summer.
All you have to do is bring your lawn chair.
Yeah.
And we have tents up so that people don't have to sit in the hot sun, or if they want to sit in the sun, bring an umbrella or whatever. But we have a lot of fun, and it's out on the ground, and Ken's done a marvelous job with that. And then he's developing a program with the Village Presbyterian Church where we'll have music concerts, whether it's instrumental or vocal. So we're working on that as well. In fact, we brought in this summer a gentleman who was an authority of ragtime. And so he played music by all the ragtime composers from Kansas City. It was marvelous.
That'd be great.
I had no idea there were so many ragtime composers in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew they were around. I just didn't realize that so many.
Well, big jazz town, of course.
Yes.
But, I mean, Ragtown grew out of jazz, and it's actually grew specifically out of Kansas City jazz.
Yes. So it was a great concert. So we hope to, continue that. So that's another thing that we're doing. We keep busy. And then one of my board members is, she's quite a historian, and she writes a lot of articles for the paper. So she's great to have.
Yeah, because you guys have a newsletter, right?
We have a newsletter. We have Well, we have two, actually.
Okay.
The Mansion House News comes out the first of every month. And it's just kind of a fun, keeping people up to date with what we're doing and helpful hints. We have Aunt Minerva was a gal who worked at the hotel that the Harrises owned in the 1850s, 60s, 70s. So we have Aunt Minerva's kitchen.
Okay.
And we give old time recipes. Her husband was Mark, so we have Uncle Mark's Corner, and he gives out helpful hints on whatever, sharpening tools, or I think next month it's how to make soap. So that's kind of a fun.
Not Lyre soap.
Lye soap, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Oh yeah. And then we have 4 times a year we have the Westporter, which is our publication that is very historical based. All of the articles are about history.
Okay.
And we try to limit it to the area or the state of Kansas or the state of Missouri. Like, for example, the one of them that will be, I think it's our November newsletter. We have a letter from a lady to her cousin describing the sacking of Lawrence. So that's going to be in the November Westporter.
Okay.
And we try to put in trivia facts, like we have a "Did you know" section. Did you know that? Whatever. So yeah, it's a good way to again put the history out there for folks to learn about, and it kind of keeps us current on our toes. What's important to people.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have those, and then we have the Time Traveler newsletter.
Okay, so there's 3.
That's our education newsletter, and that goes out the end of every month.
Okay.
And that goes to our homeschoolers and any educators that have signed up to receive it. And again, our education director does that. She's marvelous. I look forward to the Time Travelers, and we called it Time Travelers because it's not limited to anything. It's traveling through time to look at history. So yeah.
So I've been wanting to ask you, have your education director?
Yes.
It sounds marvelous. We'll have to meet her someday.
Yes, you do. She's great.
But do you have other staff?
Yes. As I said, we're all volunteer. And we're looking for volunteers out there, folks. And it's fun. We have fun here. Our volunteers, I did have a gentleman. He had to, for health reasons, retire, but he was taking care of the gardens. Trimming and watering and that sort of thing. So I need that replacement, or someone to replace him. We have, of course, the staff who gives tours and gives the history. The board is great about helping with the education programs. We do have members, members who volunteer in whatever capacity we need them. If we're having like, for example, our Christmas open house, they're here. They help with that, whether it's the food or just welcoming people. So our members are very important to what we're doing. But yeah, we ask people to volunteer for a minimum of 2 hours a month. And
is there any kind of
we have a manual. If that's what you're getting at.
That's what I was going to ask. That's good to know. No, I was going to say, like, any kind of criteria for the volunteers?
No. You don't have to know anything about history. We don't care. Because there are lots of other things you can do down here. I had a gal who would come in, unfortunately she moved, and polish the silver. She loves to polish silver, so she'd come in and polish our silver.
It's strangely fun. I did that at...
That's what she said. She loves it.
I did that before.
Who would think that making silver shine and sparkle would just get somebody going? But it does. And then we need people to just answer the phone.
Okay.
And we tell people, when you come here, you tell us what you'd like to do.
Mm-hmm.
You tell us what you think your strength is. we don't make anybody do anything they don't want to do because then it's no fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, volunteers always wanted. We do not have any paid positions. Again, we just don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
And what money we do receive, we have to, put into the utilities. We are a non-for-profit, so fortunately we don't have to have, money for taxes. But restoration, continual restoration, we need money for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we do a lot of begging and borrowing, pleading. But yeah, everybody can come here and we want them to have fun.
Yeah.
We want everybody to have a good time and enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to come back. So.
Well, what fundraisers do y'all have?
Oh, it varies.
Okay. You don't have one big annual fundraiser that you do every year?
We did before the pandemic. We had the Lost Arts Fair, which was in conjunction with the Westport Art Fair. So that was, whatever the 21st century art.
Well, the Westport Art Fair is kind of a big deal.
It's a big
It's back,
deal.
Isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We were back last year.
Okay.
But this year, and it's going to be bigger than ever. But we'd have the Lost Arts Fair up here on the same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are lost arts? Well, candle making, blacksmithing, broom making. So all of those old time arts
that you think of, yeah.
Yeah, and we had a carriage, a horse and carriage that would bring people from the art fair up to here. So that was a big deal, but the pandemic ruined a lot of things, and that one we just haven't gotten back yet. I don't know whether we ever will, because people are still very hesitant about going out into groups.
Yeah.
So, but we used to have Christmas candlelight tours. That was a big fundraiser, but the reenactors have kind of stepped back now. So we've gone to a Christmas open house. We are having our exhibits. Mm-hmm. We do get proceeds from the exhibits, like the art exhibit now. There's a fee for that.
So hang on. So did he donate it and then the proceeds go to you guys?
No, he sells these.
Oh, okay.
He can sell these and then he gives us a little bit of money from
That's nice.
From the sales. But that's usually what we do when we have an exhibit. We don't charge anybody, but we certainly take a donation. Mm. And they're usually willing to do that. And there's no set donation amount. You just give what you feel you can give. Mm-hmm. But we do have music and dinner fundraisers. Like I think the one, what is it, bourbon beer and brats.
Okay.
I think is one that they're going to bring back. So yeah, and again, it just depends on what is available to us. The music on the green, even though I said it was free, we did have a donation box out if somebody wanted to donate. So we made a little bit from that.
Okay.
Now, when we have the musical concerts off-site, then we do charge for those because we usually have to pay the musicians.
Right.
And we try to make
and the venue.
Right. And we try to make a little bit of money, off of that. But yeah, it can vary from year to year. We do always have something at Christmas. The house is decorated for Christmas from the 1st of November until the week of Christmas or before Christmas when we close. And we get a lot of people coming in to see the Christmas decorations because they're absolutely gorgeous.
Do you decorate as it would have been or use modern decorations?
Well, we use modern decorations simply because if the insurance found out we were using live greens and they got, we'd be in a lot of trouble. So, of course, we're using the silks or the fake greens and the fake flowers.
I should have said more, sorry, in a modern decorating scheme.
No. We do what would have been done. We pick a time period. Mm-hmm. Like Queen Victoria, when they started celebrating Christmas, they had a tabletop tree not one that stood on the floor, but on a table. So we have, when we do that year, we have a tabletop tree. One year we did the 1950s, because the history of Westport is from 1820
So now,
to today.
yeah,
So we take different periods sometimes, and we'll decorate and do a theme along those lines. Like I say, one time it was the 50s, and that was fun because it was it was an anniversary of.
Is the 50s when we had the aluminum tree, or was that more 60s?
That's more 60s.
Okay.
Yeah. But oh gosh, fun. So yeah, anything that we can think of to be a fundraiser. And hopefully once we do one and it does well, or we think it has the
potential to do well,
right, then we will repeat it. Like the what is it, beer brats and bourbon, or whatever order they put those in. That's something that we did a long time ago, and now we want to bring it back because it's fun.
Yeah,
for people to do that. And we have some wonderful sponsors. Kelly's is one of our sponsors. Charbar, Mickey's Hideaway.
So you have good relations with your neighbors here, then?
Yeah,
in Westport.
they're all sponsors. Pride's is a big sponsor. So whenever we need some help,
That's good.
they're there, either donating or, maybe giving to us at cost or whatever, because they know how we struggle.
Yeah.
So.
I was wondering, when did they start construction over here? Do you know?
Oh, with the cats.
Is that what that is?
That's at the corner of Westport Road and Main Street. The old Cats drugstore was located there, and it was sold the first of the year. They signed all the, done deal, and they started construction maybe in March or April.
I can't believe I haven't noticed it. So
Started,
wait, they didn't tear down Cats, did
No,
they?
they're not tearing down Cats. No, that part, the front part.
They just tore down the stuff next to Cats.
Right. But Cats drugstore and the clock tower are staying.
Okay, good.
And those are going to be renovated. We're even hoping to get the old cat sign.
That'd be cool.
To put on it. And then in back of that, or to the west of that, they're building an apartment complex.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Doesn't look very large.
I know, it doesn't. But when you see the drawings of it, supposedly it fits. We'll see. But the owner, Vic, has been wonderful working with the community.
Okay.
We have meetings with the project manager.
So it hasn't been disruptive to museum operations?
Well, no. And to Pride's, of course, because of parking.
Yeah.
And closing down streets. They're really working with us to make sure that if there's a disruption, it's not for more than a couple of days.
That's really good to hear.
Because like he was saying, we had a meeting yesterday. He was saying there's going to come a point where they have to bring cement trucks in. And where they're going to be pouring, they're going to have to close down the street because of the way the truck has to get in.
Yeah.
But that'll be for maybe 20 minutes, and the truck unloads, and then they open it again. And when the truck comes back, they close it. So they're really working with us to make the construction period as painless as possible. But they're supposed to open it. They think July of next year.
Wow,
so just
must be
about
fast.
11 months. They will be open for half occupancy.
Okay.
And then by November or December of next year, it'll be totally completed.
Yeah, that still seems really fast.
Yeah, and we're so excited to work with them. The owner, as I said, he's just been great, and the project manager is great. But we're going to have a wall of history, or a room of history, or something, because of. I mean, everybody knows about cats.
Yeah.
And many people are still around that went to Cats.
Oh, my
As
grandmother
children.
has said that she used to shop at Cats. I'm
Exactly.
like, what?
Exactly. So it's very important to people. The Harris Carney house actually sat at that location at the corner of Westport Road and Main.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that. Why did they move the house? And
To
how? That's got to be such a huge endeavor.
It was a huge endeavor. They moved it in 1922 because it was in the way of urban renewal. And they wanted to widen Main Street and put some sort of new paving down, which is really weird because they had to pull up the trolley tracks to do that. But anyway. And
now we're putting the trolley back in.
I know. Well, actually, this is the third trolley.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry, yeah, I interrupted you.
No. I was trying to think. I get mixed up on who's who around here. There are so many. One of the granddaughters, she was a granddaughter, and she was the daughter of Charles Carney, who was the son-in-law who owned this house, the second owner.
Okay.
His daughter, Julia, who married Frank Warnell, from his parents built the Warnell house. She grew up in this house, in the Harris house, and she said, okay, there's no way that somebody's going to knock down that house. No way. So she got a bunch of ladies together, and they raised $1,000 and purchased the house. And then they raised another $5,000 to have it moved to this location that it stands now at 40th in Baltimore. That was a lot of money in 1922.
Yeah.
But they did move it, and they moved it in two sections.
In the original and then in the add-on?
Right, and we call it the old part and the new part.
Okay.
The old part was, or the original house that was built in 1855. Then the new part, or the addition that was built onto the back, we call it the L, was built in 1871, 72. They separated those two, and the house was not on a foundation. It was just,
just sitting there.
Just sitting there. Did not have a basement, so they had to take a steam shovel and dig out from under the house, and they put railroad ties and pallets and raised the house.
Okay.
And then they moved it very slowly to its new location. And I liken it to, everybody's familiar with leapfrog.
Yeah.
That you play as a child. Well, that's the idea of how they moved this house. They would have the railroad ties and the pallets, and they would move it a certain amount of the house.
Yeah.
And then they'd take the pallet and the railroad ties that they just came off of and take it and put it around in front. So it's like the leapfrog.
Yeah. It's like the rolling log.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. But instead of having one great big, they just, use the sections. So they set it here in 1922, put it all back together, and it's been at this location since 1922. And they moved it in January.
Ooh.
Because the ground was frozen.
Okay, well, I guess, that would make it easier. You don't have to worry about mud.
Yeah. And supposedly, the weather remained, I guess good enough that they could
relatively mild.
Yeah. It took them 6 to 8 weeks to move it a block.
Yeah, it's not very far.
So,
but you got to be really careful.
Yeah. And so the story goes, they didn't even break a window when they moved it. So, yeah.
I was just about to ask, was there any damage?
Very impressive, yeah. The company that moved the house is actually still in business today.
Oh, really?
They don't move buildings anymore. They just do foundation repair.
What company was that?
Well, I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce it right, but it's Grant Rene or Grant Rene.
Okay.
I'm actually, I can't remember.
R-E-N-A-Y?
No, R-E-N-N-E, I think. I'm going to go over here and look.
We have a tiny little exhibit right here while we're sitting talking. R-E-N-N-E.
And we asked the company to come over to one of our meetings, our membership meetings, and tell us how the house was moved. And
did they still have records from all of that?
Well, unfortunately, no. They had a fire in 1934, and he said they lost so many records of things. But based on, and this was a grandson, I believe, of the folks who moved it or who started the company, and they said that they had a basic knowledge of how it would have been done,
based on family lore,
and of what they knew word of mouth on how it was moved, that they could make a pretty good guess. So that's how we found out as much as we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it must have been a very interesting time to try to move that sucker. Because as I said earlier, the bricks on the walls are so thick that this would have been so heavy to move.
Yeah.
Incredibly heavy. Yeah. But fortunately it's here, and thanks to Julia Harris Kearney, we have this wonderful Greek Revival mansion that people can come in and visit. And it's been restored to its 1855 appearance. And we love to have people come and see our antiques, like our 1824 piano, which is gorgeous.
That's a gorgeous piano.
It is gorgeous, yeah.
But after we ended up in this location, what happened to the house after that? Because at one point you said that...
well, it went through a lot of different things. It was vacant.
Okay.
It was a depository for some books for the school district. It was a dentist office. It was a doctor's office. It was some apartments.
Oh, wow.
So from 1922 until, I think, when did they bought it in 1976, I think.
Who bought it?
The Westport Historical Society.
Oh, okay,
I'm sorry.
Okay. Because at one point you said that Rock Hill Nelson had bought it.
Yes, he did. He bought it in 1889. From the family,
before it moved.
The Kearney family. No, after it moved.
You said it.
No, I'm sorry, before it moved. Before it moved, he bought it and gave it to one of his editors by the name of Johnson, and the editor and his wife lived in the house until about, we think, 1918.
Okay.
And the wife died, and so Mr. Johnson sold it to a gentleman who had thought he would make it into maybe a bed and breakfast or maybe a small hotel. Anyway, he ended up not having the money to do that. And then the idea came in that they wanted to widen, and he said, I'm out of here. So he sold it to Julia.
Okay.
And her lady friends.
Okay.
So yeah, it's had an interesting history, and then once it was moved, then it was the dentist's office and the doctor's office and the book depository, and yeah.
And when did you do restorations on it? You said the 80s?
Well, the Historical Society bought it in 1976, and then they
took immediate occupancy.
Well, yes, but they had to raise money for the restoration. Mm-hmm. And they finally raised enough money and restored it, and it opened in 1983.
Oh, okay.
As
the museum.
The museum that you see today. Now, has it changed in that time? Yes.
Of course.
Because the Harrises had 8 children and over 40 grandchildren. And a lot of those descendants are still around today. And they will periodically donate something to the house that we will then put on display. Mm-hmm. Furniture, clothing. We have the bridal veil that Josephine Harris married when she wore when she married Charles Kearney.
Wow. And
it has been worn by 13 members of the family at their weddings. And it came from Ireland in 1851. It's Irish lace. It's gorgeous. And we have no idea really how old it is because it came from Ireland, and we don't know whether they went out and purchased it new or whether they it was already in the family and they sent it. over, we don't know, but at least it's from 1851. And so we have that. And then we have, like the exhibit of the tools that came from Germany. That was an immigrant who had 10 kids and they all lived around here. So they periodically are giving things to us that we display. The Weidemanns, who owned the building that Kelly's is in, they owned it for almost 100 years. And they donate things to us once in a while because their family had a grocery store there. So things change as far as our exhibits and what we have, but the 1855 appearance of the house will never change. That will always remain. So we just want people to come and visit.
Well, we've been talking for a while. We'll wrap up in a minute, but I do want to talk a little bit more about the art. Do you have a favorite and a least favorite?
Oh gosh. Okay, let's start with the first question. Yes, we rotate the exhibits, and when they're not up, we have to put them in storage. One place that we do store them is in the basement. It stays at a constant temperature,
which is important.
So, and then we do have some archive space in our office. And then I guess probably there's so many artifacts here. I can't tell you that I have a least favorite.
That's usually a hard question for folks to answer.
Probably something that, is, and if I say it's my least favorite, I don't want to knock anything, but, oh gosh. Well, let's go back to the most favorite.
Okay.
I don't know, again, that I could pinpoint one thing because I love our piano. Mm-hmm. As I said, it's 1824. It was the 50th piano made by the Chickering Company. It's extremely valuable. It's gorgeous. Hanging above it is a painting that is very valuable. I love it. But I think probably the most favorite objects, and I have to say objects, come from the family. What, used to be in this house, and like the wedding veil that they wore, and actual tangible things that the family used, and you just wonder all the experiences they had.
Yeah. It's really special to have a historic house and then inside of that artifacts from the family.
Yes, absolutely. And if it wasn't, if the artifacts aren't directly from the Harrises, then they're from their descendants. Mm-hmm. But, and that leads me to the artifact that we are going to receive in September or October. It is an original piece of furniture that came with the Harrises in their wagon when they came here from Kentucky in 1832.
What is it?
It is a table.
Okay.
And the family is donating it to us.
Very nice.
So that is a piece that we definitely know that came from Kentucky with them. So we're very excited to get that.
That's cool.
And then I love the Tecumseh's tomahawk. And yeah, I don't think there's anything that I really
dislike.
Except maybe our 1844 piano that we're trying to get rid
one?
of. Yes.
Why are you trying to get rid of it?
Because we don't need a second piano. So I guess I could say that's my least favorite because we're trying to move it on to a good home.
Okay.
But it's not really my least favorite. But yeah, anybody out there who would like to have an 1844 Shearer piano, let me know.
Does it work?
Yes, it does. It does need to be tuned.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, that depending on how it is stored, the temperature in the building or the room that it's in, it's wooden. The interior is wooden, so it has to be tuned more than a normal, regular, modern piano would have to be tuned. It's the cousin to Abraham Lincoln's piano.
Ooh.
in the sense that it's the
Owned
same
by a
name.
cousin
No,
or the
no,
woodmaker?
no. The name, the maker. It's
Okay.
a sharer, and Lincoln's Piano was a sharer.
Okay.
So we say the pianos are cousins.
That works. That works.
So yeah, if anybody would like to have that, we'd be happy to give it to them. They just have to move it.
Oh, that'll be the trickiest part of this.
Yeah, because it weighs a lot. It truly does. But yeah, we just invite everybody to come down and see the the house, the staircase and the fireplace or the mantle and the fireplace were all hand made in 1855.
Local black walnut.
And the walnut trees that they're cut from were on the Harris property. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
To see those. They're really pretty.
All right, we should wrap up. So, is there anything else you want to tell us real quick?
Oh gosh.
Do you have a website? What is that?
We do have a website, westporthistorical.com.
Okay. And do you have social media?
We do have, oh boy, I'm not really, we do have a Twitter page, I think.
Okay.
Although I don't use it, so I don't even know. Our IT guy takes care of that. But if anybody wants any information or would like to book a tour or an event, they just have to call the museum. And that's 816-561-1821 or 913-231-6749. Or they can send an email to westporthistorical@gmail.com.
Okay.
And we'll get back to them just as soon as we can. Yeah, just come and visit us, people. I think there's a little bit of everything for everybody.
Yeah, seems like it.
Good. Thank you, Laura.
Thank
It's
you.
been fun. And I hope we can do this again soon.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cheers, everyone. My computer froze.
I just had to call you, baby. And I just had to ask you this tonight. 'Cause I can't seem to shake this feeling. And I can't seem to get you off my mind. Thought I lost my nerve forever. And I know that it's now or never to try and see this through. Tie loose ends up with a bow and start anew. We could talk through the nights on the